begin.
What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA Wise Stream. It is Friday, January 3rd, 2020. You know, CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. Joined as always by the GOAT, the true OG, Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, what's happening?
What's going on? Friday, 5-game slate. Light for a Friday. Holiday slate. Doing the dirty 7 times.
That's it.
I like that.
That's it. Had a little Bradley Beal do us dirty. Well, you know, at first, it's probably a good thing now. But at the time, you know, you'd be sitting there setting up for a stream, got your content published, got your projections ready, and bam, major. But yeah, man, it's a pretty good time to be a sports fan into DFS. You got NBA to grind every day. You got NFL playoffs starting this weekend, right? Some stuff to get excited about. It's a good time, man. It's a good time to be a sports fan. It's 2020. Let's do it. With that said, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Welcome. Hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we go live. We do this Monday through Friday on this channel, and you don't want to miss out. We do a couple shows, really 3 shows a day when we can, dishing out some free content, exposing the WiseTake Nation to the YouTube Nation. That's what it's all about. So subscribe to the channel. Don't miss out. If you guys could all hit that like button, it goes a long way. It helps us out. It allows us to continue to do the dirty. And we will continue to do the dirty as long as we get the support to do the dirty from you guys. So with that said, Paulie, let's talk about this slate. So we got, initially it was looking like a blah kind of slate. It's not like the Beal thing helped, I think, like it's like at least spread, like take away some ownership on other plays while also raising it on others, obviously. What are your overall thoughts?
Initially I didn't really think there was very good value on the slate, and now some has really opened up, and more maybe on the way. You know, Aaron Gordon we're waiting on, Elf Payton we're waiting on, other things like Ricky Rubio, Jaylen Brown I think is probable, but he's still a game time decision. So more could come at us. And there are some of the studs the industry loves to jump on, like LeBron and AD. There's narrative there. There's Harden and Embiid going against each other, Westbrook. So I think the industry wants to go stars and scrubs, and I still do believe that there's a lot of nice plays in the mid tier that are just underpriced and going to be much lower owned. So my overall, I want to try to get more balance. I don't know if spending up for the studs is the best path to success, but now it's in question, and it's you got to kind of decide, is Harden going to go for 80, AD, LeBron, are they going to post 70s plus, or are they going to post high 50s, low 60s, and the 6 and 7K guys have 45, 50-point games? Who's going to really crush value? Point per dollar kind of became a lot more important because we can now do both builds. So it's, we got to figure that out. I haven't decided yet where I'm at with that. I think the next hour will kind of dictate.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was leaning towards the stars and scrubs route earlier. I just didn't feel great about it. I felt like we're looking at guys like Bazemore, JJ Redick, who are still in play, but now maybe there's other options like Ish Smith and some of these other guys we'll talk about. So Kendrick Nunn was going to be extremely popular, probably still will be, but now at least Ish Smith will take some away. So again, just like you said, having options. And I think on the one hand, it does encourage you to go more stars and scrubs. On the other hand, you can also, like you said, make a case for the balance build even more, because even though we had injuries, some of these situations, like players like Jordan McRae, for instance, are priced in that mid tier. They're already priced in the situation that Beal was out because he's been in and out, and they've been so thin. So it's interesting. I think the Washington situation gave you a couple players to use in a stars and scrubs format. It also gave you a couple players you can consider in a balanced format. So curious to see where we land as we go through it. Let's get it rocking with point guards. Paulie, are you looking to pay up for anybody?
Yeah, there's 2, if I was, and that's Trae Young. Just his price was at like 11 and change recently. Then he gets hurt, misses a couple games, and he's back down to 9,200. Where just a quick peek at his game logs, and it's like, yeah, the game he got hurt, he got a 14, and then it's 63, 67, 50, 61. Like, we'll take all those, at his price. So he's probably got the highest ceiling per price, at least like in terms of like how often he hits that ceiling. And then like Russ Westbrook right beneath him, in a pretty tough game, like I don't know if anyone thinks the Rockets are making it to the finals, but they're probably a top 3 team in the West, and Philly is, got to be top 1, 2, or 3 as well. And I expect a pretty close, fast-paced, minimal defensive type of game here, and really just love the way Russ has been playing. And like he's probably got like a very high floor, and then when all things come together, the triple double and the peripherals, he can post those 65, 70 point scores at 9K. Those are what win you the tournament more so than like Harden at 11K getting you 65. So those are the two that I'd be most interested paying up. If I was building more teams, I'd get a couple shares of Ben Simmons today as well. Not too into Dame, like really hard to see that game staying close. But I mean, if it does, he's going to smash. He can go for 60. He's been shooting really well lately. But Trae Young, Russ are the two by far that stand out for me in terms of paying up. In the mid-range, like, going down to like, say, 6K, I do have interest in Ricky Rubio if he plays, Drew Holiday, and Lonzo Ball. I think all of them have pretty significant upsides of their price, considering opponent matchup, whatnot.
Yeah, man. When I was going through it, I found that the shooting guards on DraftKings, the shooting guards were filling up on my point guard slots. Obviously, on DraftKings, there are just guys with multiple position eligibility. On FanDuel, if I had to pay up, or on DraftKings either way, if I had to pay up for a specific point guard, I think Westbrook and Trae Young are really the main two. I'm okay with Dame, but I am concerned about the blowout. We talked about Portland. They finally raised their prices to a point where they're not just a plug and play anymore. You have to actually think about what you're doing, and I'm concerned about the game staying close. Also, although Portland has been horrible defensively. With that said, I'm cool with those guys. I just didn't end up with a lot of them. I ended up more, especially with all the value that opened up at the guard position. And even in the mid-range, I find that most of my builds ended up pushing me towards shooting guards anyway because of how deep shooting guard actually is. We'll talk about that after we talk about value town point guards. But in the meantime, kick it off with value town point guards.
Yeah, so, scratch that. We got the Washington guys, right? Jordan McRae at 5,800. Isaiah Thomas, 53. Those are my two favorite Washington Wizards. I just expect 15-plus shots from both of them. McRae's been hotter of late, but, either one can get hot and shoot like 60, 70, even 80% and just have a big game. I think Isaiah Thomas will be considerably lower owned. So, the 500 extra bucks just makes me lean towards him a little bit more. But they're both very good plays. If Elf gets ruled out, I think RJ Barrett is one of the best plays on the slate. Even if Elf is in, I think he's fine, but I really want Elf to be out, and I think he'll be like one of the better plays on the slate. Then we got like Orlando. DJ Augustine just balled out, went for 44. Markelle Fultz finally had that ceiling game, and these are two playoff-bound teams in the East. Both like a tad short-handed, more so Orlando, but either one of those guys, if Aaron Gordon is out, become pretty elite. If Aaron Gordon's in, one of them is probably still pretty solid, but the prices, at least DJ Augustine's came up a bit more. Markelle Fultz's price went down somehow after having the best game of his career. Then you got like Kendrick Nunn, who I think, is like a 20% kind of guy. Like, not sure really why his price has gone down to 44. I know like he hasn't had the usage when they had more injuries, but like his last game went for 28, 2 games before that 29 at 4,400. You're almost at 6x. Like you'll take that on this slate. So, and we know he's got much higher ceiling, right? So he makes sense. Then you got Ish Smith, who's probably the top value play on the slate at 4,200. He kind of like had a little blip where his minutes took a dive, but they're like right back. The usage is right back. The shot attempts are not far off from McRae and IT2. So, and he's 1,600 cheaper than them. Then you got like Brad Wanamaker, with Kemba out. Not too thrilling, but worth a look. Anthony Simons has been awesome and could get some additional blowout run against Washington. And if Elf is out, Frank Ntilikina at 3,200 against the Suns, a team that we could see some increased peripherals. And, last time he got minutes, last game he got 23 minutes, went for 34, got 10 assists, scored 9 actual points, couple blocks, a steal. Like the game before that, he got 17 minutes, went for 22. So, he might be trying to win his job back. And DSJ, we don't know if he's going to play or not. So, if DSJ got ruled out, that would strengthen that. Or if DSJ's in, then he's a really interesting play as well if Elf gets ruled out. If Elf doesn't get ruled out, you can scratch the DSJ and Nitty plays. But there's a lot of if and kind of situations in value land outside of the Washington and I guess the Orlando value that's fairly strong right now.
Yeah, I agree. Right now, Kendrick Nunn and Ish Smith are your mainstays for the value at this position. I definitely like them both. I like Ish a little bit more, I think, if I had to pick one because of how thin the team is. But, starting lineup is out for Washington. It does look like where'd it go here? So it's going to be... And also the news. Here we go. Isaiah Thomas, Gary Payton, Troy Brown Jr., Williams, and Mahimi is the starting lineup today. But those two headline the value. Like Paulie said, bro, we're waiting for stuff to open up. The Elfrid Payton situation could certainly open things up, and even the Magic situation. I think you can make a case for either one of those guys. I'm not as strong on them today as I was yesterday. But if Gordon was out, it would make it close again. Let's go over to shooting guards, Paulie. I feel like this position is deep, man, especially above the 6K mark. What do you see over there?
So Harden at 10.9, that's really, a too cheap price for him. If this game's close, it's a high probability that he's going for 65 or more. They do have a couple decent defenders, that maybe could give him a little trouble. I don't think it really matters. He's matchup proof. The usage is just phenomenal. Expect 20-plus shots. Expect a lot of threes. And, he's getting back to the triple-double Harden a little bit lately. He hasn't actually gotten one, but, the double-digit rebounds, double-digit assists are kind of showing up more often than at the beginning of the year when he was really just predominantly a scorer. So, he's a solid play. If you're going to use the Washington value, I think it's really to get him with Embiid. Obviously the highest ceiling in the league. After that, you got Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, within $100 of each other, both 60-point upside. Devin Booker's been playing really well. If Rubio gets ruled out, that's going to increase his usage. And, it's against the Knicks. He should do the dirty, and he's got great history against them. Jimmy Butler against Orlando, again, a division, potentially could see each other in the playoffs. And he's just a little too cheap now at 78. He's got triple-double upside. He's done it many times this year. He's gone for as high as, I think he had a 68.25 against Washington not too long ago. So, at 7,800, that's dirty time. Then Drew Holiday is way underpriced, in my opinion. I think he's going to get up for this game, too. He's probably a little pissed AD left him. They were building something good. It's the Lakers. It's, if there's ever a game that the Pelicans are going to get up for, it's definitely this one. And Usually when they play well, Drew Holiday is the catalyst. CJ McCollum, 7,100 against Washington. What's not to like there? And that's all we got. And then, Evan Fournier, 6,100. If Gordon's out, I'd consider it. But even with Gordon out, I like the guys above him a lot more. He would just be like a sprinkle for me.
Yeah, I mean, this position is on DraftKings with the multiple position eligibility. This is the position that took up a lot of my point guard slots because it's deep, man. You want a little bit of everyone. James Harden, like you said, I feel like it's a good spot. That should be a competitive game. Price seems too low for the upside. You've got Jimmy Butler, like you said, who's been playing well. I know the usage hasn't been where it was, but 7-8 on DraftKings still feels too low. 8,600 on FanDuel or whatever he is, a little easier to say no to. But Drew Holiday, CJ McCollum, Devin Booker, these are all guys in phenomenal spots, and most of them are playing really well right now. So on FanDuel, it sucks that you have to pick just two in every team because there's even a couple guys below this we haven't even addressed. But in my opinion, shooting guard is the deepest position on the slate. By far. With that said, probably take us down to Value Town.
Sure. So, Marcus Smart should be pretty popular. Kemba out. He's back. He played 30 minutes his last game against Charlotte, went for 25 at 5-1. That's 5X. And now he shot very poorly, 1 of 7 from 3, 3 of 12 from, just overall shooting, but 7 assists, 5 rebounds. Only 1 steal. Atlanta turns the ball over the most. This is on paper should be a really good ceiling situation for him with the increased usage, the minutes back. And, right now, Kemba out. We're still waiting to hear about Jaylen Brown. And one of the faster, opponents out there, high scoring. It just, they don't defend. Seems like it makes sense. I mean, his price could be a little lower, but if he gets that shooting going, even just like 20% better, he's going to smash his price. Gary Payton, 4,300. I'm not too high on, but if I was building 100+ teams, I would get exposure to him. He's had 6 steals a game twice against the Knicks, and Portland's been very, very bad. I think he gets decent minutes, but when we looked into it, like when he was balling out, it was like 2 guys missing every game, like Beal and IT2 or Beal and McRae. So I think he'll kind of fall behind everyone else in the pecking order, and the ceiling's a little less likely with him. Terrence Ross, I think, is a phenomenal play, and just with Isaac out alone, and if you add Aaron Gordon to that, it just makes him that much better. Josh Hart's 3,900. He too has the narrative against his former team, blah, blah, blah. But he just gets a lot of minutes. He's been shooting a lot of threes this year, and we know he can get involved in the rebounds and steals and assists and whatnot. So he's interesting down there at 3.9. I'm not interested in Kent Bazemore, but at 3.5, even if he gets you like his standard 19 to 24, like, you're not going to be mad. And if he goes for 30 and you don't have him, you will be a little mad. JJ Redick is 3,400. Like, that's pretty insane. I mean, yeah, he only played 19 minutes his last game, but pretty much before that, it was 25 through 35. And all it takes is him to hit a couple threes early, and those minutes will be right back. And, he'll take those 10, 12 3-pointers. And if he's hitting them, he could damn near 10x that or more. So he's worth getting a little bit of exposure to, although, his range of outcomes is pretty wide. He can get you like a 12 or, a 36. And I think that's the extent of what I'm looking at.
Yeah, again, I mean, you went over everything, man. It's just, it's deep, head to top to bottom. Marcus Smart going to start for Kemba Walker. Cheap on both sides, 5-1 on FanDuel, where steals are worth a lot in a matchup against a team that turns the ball over a ton. Going lower, you mentioned JJ Redick, Josh Hart, all these guys who are just underpriced. Just a situation where you're going to end up, like, I think it's more, this is a rarity where there's some value I'm locked into, like the Washington ones that I like. And then there's like the other value, like the JJ Reddick's, the Hart, where you just grab like 20 to 30 and go maybe a little heavier on your main plays. It's usually it's like we go heavy on the value, and in some cases it's still the case, right? Washington, I think we're still there, but with the
Mm-hmm.
other value pieces, it seems more like I would rather. I know I like these four studs more. I have more confidence in maybe these four studs than I do in like these four value players. So it is kind of interesting, for sure. But yeah, definitely a deep position, in my opinion, the deepest on the slate. Let's go over to small forwards, Paulie. Take it back to the Tizop. Oh, I obviously you mentioned Jordan McRae. I don't know what his position is on FanDuel. I forgot. Any idea? No.
I would guess shooting guard.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I have it right here. McRae. Yeah, shooting guard at 5'7". Okay, yeah, yeah. One of my favorite plays in the slate. Small
Yeah.
forward, that thing.
Yeah, so on the high end, I'm not very interested in LeBron. If I was building 5 teams, I don't think he'd make one. But every so often he's going to pop off for that 73 or 61 at 11-2. You kind of need that more in the high 60s to really be a winner, especially with all the studs on the slate today. Like his teammate a little bit more today, but I fucking love Brandon Ingram at 7,800. Just getting all the usage, narrative. Gonna get like LeBron D. It's just all kind of shapes up for him to go for 40 plus, which he's done so consistently this year. Then it kind of drops down to like a Gordon Hayward. I like him even at 7K with Kemba out. He's gonna bring up the ball a little bit. He's gonna have big usage. He should have double-digit shot attempts. He got 10 rebounds in his last game. I don't see why he wouldn't get something close to that today. He had 6 assists in that game. Like, that was all with Kemba there. I love Tobias Harris today at 6,600. He's gonna have like the best defensive matchup, and he's been extremely consistent. And lately, like, he's actually gotten a little erratic. I guess it's been a little game flow dependent. But in the close games, like against Orlando and Detroit was somewhat close. New Orleans, Boston, Denver, 41, 50, 40, 54, 44 DraftKings points. There are a couple duds in there, but hard to see that happening against Houston with like Ben McLemore and Danuel House defense. Like, really think he does well today at his discounted price now, down at 66. And that is it, down to the 6 mark. Son.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Brandon Ingram, one of my favorite plays on the day as well. We got the used to the narrative. The last time these guys played, I know he didn't play all that well. He took like 21 shots, only made 4 of them. This time they're in LA. He's been shooting pretty well lately, been playing very efficiently. As long as he doesn't get over like hyper aggressive and start fouling, I would agree. He's my favorite player at the position on both sites. Narrative aside, he also just projected to be one of the best for us, so I'm in on it. Aaron Gordon will start tonight. We did get that news. Aaron Gordon is in. Yeah, I don't have, aside from that, you had mentioned LeBron James, the other guys. There's just too many studs I kind of bypass. I think I'm more interested in Ingram and Tobias Harris, in addition to the rest of the guys are under the 6K range, but really above. Those are the main two. We talked about Butler shooting guard eligible as well, but Ingram is my favorite. Tobias, my next above this, and of course Gordon Hayward. How could I forget Gordon Hayward without Kemba Walker? I would expect Hayward to pick up some of the usage for sure, but the point guard usage, the distribution factor. We've seen Hayward have those games where he gets multitudes of rebounds, shot points, and assists. So I think this could be one of those games in a pace-up spot against Atlanta. At 6.9 on FanDuel, 7K on DraftKings, I'm with it. So I do like Gordon Hayward quite a bit. Paulie, this will take us down to value Tizzle.
Yep. So Marcus Morris at 56 against Phoenix. Like, I like that a ton. And if Elf gets ruled out, he'll become one of my favorite plays. I have this Paulie D theory that, Marcus Morris was kind of the guy beginning of the year because he was doing a little more shot creation on his own. Like Nitty's not really a facilitator, so he would almost be like a point guard, and he doesn't really know how to play point guard, so he just end up taking a lot of shots. And when Elf showed up, he became more of like a spot up 3-point guy, and he dealt with an injury, but it seemed to really get Randall going with Elf. So if Elf is out, it really would boost Marcus Morris for me. But even so, against Phoenix at 5,600, I think he's a very solid play. Troy Brown at 54. Washington just doesn't have many bodies, and he can kind of be aggressive shot wise, and he can do some of the peripherals, get some steals. Like probably just underpriced for the tempo and the minutes he's going to get today. Kyle Kuzma, he's kind of involved in that whole little narrative thing as well, and I just love the usage he's getting. Double-digit shots, even though he's coming off the bench, he's playing between 25 and 30 minutes. A little bit scoring dependent, but in his last, say 8 games, he has 2 duds against Dallas and Minnesota, and then 28, 24, 26, 34, 32, 29. With the usage and volume and shot attempts kind of growing. So, I don't think it's too far away from him to start popping off for those 40-point games. All it takes is AD to get ejected or injured, and he will just go to the moon. But even without any of that, he's just getting a lot of usage on the second unit. Playing with an elite facilitator like Rondo is just getting him a lot of open shots, and I think there's a lot of upside. And even if he just gets you a 34, that's pretty close to 7x. And, certainly in the range of outcomes in a pace-up spot against New Orleans, against some of his old buddies. Then I think it kind of falls off. PJ Tucker's underpriced. I feel like this is the kind of game where, you could see him do a little bit more. Philadelphia's pretty good defensively. They may force the ball towards him, and if he does hit his shots, he's going to get the rebounds. They're going to need him on the court. He's just going to play, close to 40 minutes. At the 3,900, I think he's worth getting a few shares of. The range of outcomes is 12 to 40, but he's pretty consistent. I'd say 50% of the time he's going to get you 6x or better. So worth having. He was probably a stronger value play before everything else opened up, but still he has a lot of games in the 30s, and that's going to be 7-8x today. Derek Jones Jr., playing good minutes again, 3,900. He's had a couple games into the 30s as well. Really just, I think the Heat just love having him on the court, and they're just, I don't see them going backwards with the minutes right now. I think it would take an injury or something. And he seems to be getting more and more confidence out there. He took a couple threes last game. I get to watch the Heat down here, and the crowd fucking loves him. They call him the runway. He has all these electric dunks. And the team's numbers with him on versus off are just dramatically better. Every player has much better statistics with him on the court, and the analytics can point you to that. And that's really it. There's a couple guys I think you could throw darts at if you're building a lot of teams, like DeAndre Hunter, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. But, the guys I have Mikal Bridges, Antoine Moore, but the guys I talked about are the ones I'm really interested in.
Yeah, not too much to add. We talked about a lot of these guys also at shooting guard value. There's a lot of it lying around. Just a matter of deciding which ones you want to roll the dice with. I think we talked about the players above 6K is pretty strong. You mentioned a Marcus Morris, who I already like and will like more, like you said, if Elf is out, and some of these guys who I think are underpriced as well. And it's kind of it definitely made the slate more interesting, but now it requires a little more concentration, if you will. With that, nation, do the dirty for us and hit that like button. Likes go a long way. Allow us to continue to drop dirties on them. 7 style.
Like squad
all day. Do it up. Paulie, let's move it over to power forwards. Anthony Davis, revenge. He went for 60-something last time. He's been pretty cold recently because of his shoulder, it looks like. But what are your thoughts on Anthony Davis and the rest of the power forwards?
Yeah, so the shoulder gives me a little hesitation, right? Like, you know, the other day with Melo, right? I was like, you just have to be overweight on this because the probability is so much more increased with the narrative with him going back to New York, blah blah blah. Like, it's the same thing here. Like, AD hasn't gone off for 70 that much this year, but like he probably can more times than he has. He just doesn't need to. They've been winning a lot of games convincingly. He's kind of like letting LeBron be the man. But you add in the motivation factor, if it's just like do the dirty to them and he takes 25 shots and gets every rebound and plays like really motivated, like you're just going to feel stupid if he drops an 80 and you don't have much. So I feel like he's just like a mandatory 30% at least on a 5-game slate at his price tag where like, if he goes for 70, you're going to definitely need him to win today because he's going to have some ownership and, he's not 11K or 11.3 like LeBron. He's 10.3, so I think you got to get some, although I'm not like as confident in the 6X as I was with like Carmelo the other day just because of the injury and, the game could get lopsided. There's just a lot of factors that could come into play, but it certainly exists, the probability of him doing die dirty as well. So you got to get some. You gonna say
No,
something?
I was just unmuting just to say
Uh,
neighborly. I was gonna say
uh,
neighborly, but the
uh,
moment had passed, so I wasn't gonna say nothing at that point. But I appreciate it, man. Thanks for paying attention. That was cool. You heard the unmute click. I was like,
I heard the unmute click. That's right. That's
please
right.
continue.
Julius Randle, the guy's just on a fucking tear right now. The price is caught up. People thought he was expensive the other day at 8K. Against Washington, he went for 61. No, the 8K was against Portland. He went for 48. That's still 6X. And this is a better matchup against Phoenix. If Elf is there, I think he's absolutely fine at 300 cheaper. If Elf's out, I'm a little nervous. He needs someone to kind of facilitate to him. Like, yeah, he can bring up the ball a little and chuck up some threes, but he's best when he's getting fed in the post and doing his fadeaway and pump fake, pivot step to the other side, those kind of plays. So Elf's really going to dictate which Nick big guy I kind of play today. John Collins at 7,500, is just a really good play. Celtics are missing some of their better players, so the game's likely to be closer. He's getting Trae Young back, a good facilitator, and he's just an absolute monster and has 50-point upside. And, I think it's just likely this game stays close and, it's like clear him and Trae Young, similar to like Luka and Porzingis on Dallas, where where the usage is going to go. Kelly Oubre, just kid's been on an absolute tear. The sites don't seem to want to increase his price very much. I mean, yeah, he was like 63, now he's 68, but he's really earned like an 8K price tag the way he's been playing. The Knicks are not going to really offer much resistance, so I like him a bunch. And if Rubio gets ruled out, I like him even more. Derek Favors has been playing awesome, and he's gonna need to play. The Lakers have a bunch of size, and New Orleans doesn't. He's played 35 minutes in his last game against Houston, 27 against Indy, 30 and 30 against Denver and Portland. So I expect minutes around the same, and maybe more if the game goes down to the wire. And when he gets minutes, he goes off. And at 6'2", you get a 40. That will make you feel good. Al Horford at 5'8", I know he hasn't been playing great, but I would think that this is the kind of game that he shows up for. They don't have much size. He should have an opportunity to get a lot of rebounds, and he's really just been shooting terribly and disappearing on the rebounds. But that's how guys' prices come down, and you get those 8, 9, 10X kind of games out of them when they pop off at low ownership. And that's it down to the 6th spot.
Yeah, man. I do like Anthony Davis, but I mean, like I said, Harden, Embiid, AD. There's a few studs I want, and I know I want Ingram in there. So the way the pricing works, I feel like I'm gonna have to make this tough decision between Embiid and AD, even though they don't necessarily play the same position. With that said, I'm still gonna have a good chunk of both. I like Anthony Davis. I like the narrative, all that good stuff. The price is low. I agree. I think he can turn it on if he wants to. He just hasn't had to. Hopefully, this is one of those days. After that, Jason Tatum, like you're gonna overpay for him, but I think if you were going to, this would be the spot in a pace-up matchup. I agree that Atlanta's chances of keeping this closer should be stronger. I do prefer Gordon Hayward, but I see the value in him as well. Um, Julius Randle, I would agree with you on. I think like at first he kind of stood out to me, and I thought I wanted to get a lot of him, but it really depends on Elf. If Elf is in, I do. I think things stay the same, and he's been smashing lately, so I'm all for it. But if Elf were to get ruled out, that would make me like Marcus Morris strongly over Julius Randle in that situation. But yeah, we talked about the guys that I have most exposure to in this position. Ingram, Davis, Tobias. Derek Favors is another one that I'm interested in. In general, when we looked at the projections, show New Orleans projected well as a team, and Washington, I'm sure, and projects better now than they did earlier because of Bradley Beal. But with that said, I don't want to forget about, just because I like Ingram so much, I don't want to forget about the rest of the Pelicans who also projected well. Like we talked about Drew Holiday, Derek Favors, who's been playing really well, a lot of these guys. So I'm with it. Let's get it. Value Town.
Yeah, there's not much that I haven't talked about. Um, Isaiah Hartenstein, I think Houston will need him for all the size that Philly has. Like, yeah, his minutes kind of went back down. Eric Gordon's back from injury, and one of those other guys like House or someone is back, but um, he really has earned the playing time, and this is like the spot where they will need him. His price is back down to like 4,500, right? If the game blows out one way or the other, he'll get the run. If Capella gets into foul trouble, I think he's going to get the run. And like he's a double machine at 4,500. Even in 18 minutes against Denver, a game that did blow out, like he went for 35 in 18 minutes. Like I think he's a guy that, if I was building a ton of teams, I'd probably go like 15% on him. I'm only building 10 today. And I'm probably just going to have him on like 1 or 2, just because there's a lot of other value plays. I'm probably going to be more balanced. But that's really the only value play down here that I haven't talked about at small forward that I have any interest in.
Dirties and sevens, agreed. I think we talked about a lot of them already. I will say this. Ken Birch is going to start again, it looks like, for Isaac. So he's going to start at power forward. Ken Birch is a center on DraftKings 3,900, but on FanDuel he's 4,500. Did pretty well in that last game. Miami's had a weakness against fours. Any interest in Ken Birch, or is that like a reach? He did terrible when without Vooch. He was awful, but maybe in the situation where he's not the main center, like maybe that's better. What do you think?
How many minutes did he play?
He played 26, and the game did blow out. Keep in mind it was 122 to 101 against Washington, so that game was a blowout.
And what's his price?
On DraftKings, he's 39, but he's center only. On FanDuel, he's power forward, but he's 45.
Yeah. Not too into that.
I don't love it.
I think
either.
That's thin.
Yeah, I don't love it either. Like, I don't think they'd have a problem sliding Gordon down to the 4. That's the natural position he's played his whole career. I don't think they're gonna have an issue with that.
Right. And having Owundu play the 3 or Terrence Ross,
yeah. I'm with you.
I'm gonna go look at that. I'm gonna see where those minutes happen. Like I suspect most of that
Garbage
was blowout time.
Yeah. Let's go over to centers, Paulie. We got Embiid. We've got Whiteside, who's finally been price adjusted, I guess you can say. We've got a few of them. Talk to me about the centers. Go ahead and take it all the way through.
All right. So yeah, I mean, it's a smash spot for Embiid. I will definitely get some of him. I don't think he'd rank as, even my top 2 studs on the slate, but he's in the mix. There's not much separation between all the studs. I just kind of like the balanced approach a little bit more, but I will get a couple stars and scrubs teams, and he'll probably make one or two of them. Then you got like Vooch, you know, not too exciting, but I feel like he's going to get 40 something 70% of the time in this game, unless something, funny happens, like a blowout or whatnot, or foul trouble. So I think I'd be like likely to play him in cash and not so much in tournaments. I just, don't know how much ceiling exists, and Bam's a really good defender. Bam's the guy I'm interested in at 7,600. Just that's too cheap. This guy's awesome, and I think this game stays close. Then you got DeAndre Ayton. He went for 41 against the Lakers, the best team in the league against bigs. The Knicks are decent against bigs, but I think Ayton could see some minute increase, usage increases. Like, he's just kind of getting back from like a short injury stint after the drug suspension. So, I think they want to get him going as much as possible. And even though it's not the greatest matchup at 7-3, like a double-double is a certainty. And unless he gets into foul trouble or injured, I just think he's got that 7x upside, and that wouldn't even be that crazy if he went for like 49. Clint Capella is one of my favorite plays on the slate. Houston's going to play him as much as he can handle. Foul trouble is probably your biggest concern, but that many minutes on a court with all those, shot attempts, the pace up, like, he just is, he should push for 15 plus rebounds. The scoring might not be great, but at 6'9", like if he goes for like his 54 burger kind of game with 20 rebounds and 15 points, a couple blocks and whatnot, like, that's going to win you a tournament. I think he'll be kind of popular at that price tag, which, usually is why I like to play so much, because it just is a good one, right? Mitchell Robinson is like a flyer tournament GBP kind of play. He went for 36 against Portland. They do want to play him, and he's got massive point per minute upside. He's had a 10 block game last year. He blocked 6 against Washington not too long ago, and Phoenix gets blocked a lot. They give up steals. Like, I wish he was a tad cheaper, but he's certainly one of those sneaky GPP guys I'd get like 5 to 8% of. Enes Kanter, I do have interest in. Like, his minutes have been pretty secure into the 20s in the last, say, 10 games. And now, like, Kemba's going to be gone. It's just like, a major usage guy is kind of like disappearing. Like, if he picks up like 5% usage, the ceiling is just so high. Like, in his last 3 games, he played 23 minutes against Cleveland, went for 37. He played 23 minutes against Charlotte, went for 47. And those were games that Kemba was there, right? Like, there's usage to go around, and they're playing Atlanta, a team that just isn't good against bigs either. So it's a really good spot if he gets the minutes, and I think the likelihood of him doing well is increased with Kemba out, and his 15 to 20 shots to go around. Jean Mahinmi, they're just going to need him to play at 5,100 against Hassan Whiteside. 2 games ago against Miami, he went for 41. 3 games ago against the Knicks, another team that's tough against bigs, he went for 27. Portland is not good against bigs. And, Brad Beal's gone, so massive usage to go around. And he's like the only real big they got to stick out there on Hassan Whiteside. And then Alex Len at 4,300 is a guy that I am starting to really like. Like, in the last 4 games, he played 26, 20, 24, and then had this like 6-minute game. I'm guessing he like left with an injury or something. It just doesn't make sense. But, 26, 20, 24 minutes against Boston, who struggles against big, like Enes Kanter and Theus defense. He took 14 shots his last game, where he went for 37 against Orlando. Took 16 shots against Brooklyn. Double-digit rebounds. Like, he's 4,300 and has 10x upside. And I don't think anybody's going to be on this guy because he's probably not going to start. But he seems to have really like carved out a pretty solid role, even though he's coming off the bench. I think he's playing more minutes than the starter. And it's a smash spot against Boston. So he is another value guy that I have interest in. And then the last guy is that Anzej Pasekniks guy on Washington. He's just playing about 22 minutes a game. He's 3,200. You got Brad Beal's usage to go around. He's gone for 20, 23, and 30 in 3 of his last 4. The 30 was against Detroit. The 20 was against Orlando. The 23 was against Miami. Like all good teams against centers. And now he gets himself a cushy spot against, Hassan Whiteside, and mostly Hassan Whiteside's backup, who is, I don't even know who it is right now. It's like Nazir Little, and, they don't have any other true bigs. So could be a good spot for him, and maybe there's even blowout runs. So he's kind of a sneaky, nice value play as well at 3,200. You're muted.
I'm a little higher on Embiid than you. I think that as long as the game stays close, I don't think they have an answer for him. I understand Capella never really known for his defense, and he's just not quite big enough for a guy like Embiid. So I have a lot of interest in Embiid. He's my favorite center on the day. With that said, I have interest in Capella also because I think they're going to need Capella on the court between Horford and Embiid both. We talked about favors already. I'm good with some Bam, some Aiden, and I think Cantor and Mahinmi are both some guys in the 5K range that can provide you some salary relief. Mahinmi, you got to figure if he can stay out of foul trouble, they're going to need him on the court against Whiteside. And Cantor, like Paulie said, I mean, it's against Atlanta. He's the high motor type player that could easily pay that off, even in limited minutes. So I'm good with all that. With that said, Nation, it's about 19 minutes to lock. So we'll take some questions if you have them. In the meantime, we're going to switch this over to our injury feed, and this is one of our Slack channels for those who've subscribed at WiseTake.com. I am working on the projections as we go along. It's pretty updated. I'm just going to go through and make some tweaks if necessary. The content's been updated as well, so make sure you go check it out if you're subscribed. With that said, I'll look for some of these questions. I'm going to start with the Ystream chat as we do. WiseTake Nation subscribers. No questions there, but I'll come back. Don't you worry, Nation. Yeah, so in the meantime, we'll do our thing, kind of prep while we wait for some of these questions to populate. Eric Gordon will be limited to 30 minutes today, so they're going to raise his minute limit to 30. We've got the Portland starting lineup, which is the same as we'd expect. The Hawks starting lineup: Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, Hunter, and then Collins. Collins playing center today, so they're starting Reddish at the 3, playing Hunter at the 4, and Collins is actually playing center. That's kind of interesting.
That is interesting. I don't know what to think of that.
And Collins at the 5 he's going to be matched up with like Theis or whatever.
Yeah, and Cantor, and I mean, I like him a ton. Yeah. And more thing about what that does to Alex Len.
Right.
Like, does that lower his minutes? Are they going to bring in Fernando as his backup and Len kind of fades into obscurity? Or do they play Len because he was playing more minutes anyway and Fernando was just like a filler starter? I'm not sure.
This is interesting.
Well, I got a question for you. Rank these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dudes. LeBron, Harden, AD, Embiid, Trae Young, Russ Westbrook.
I think I would say Embiid and AD are the first 2. I think I have Embiid slightly ahead because of pricing. So Embiid, AD, Harden, and then I think Westbrook, then LeBron.
Trae Young's last?
Yeah, Trae Young's probably... Well, yeah, Trae Young's probably last. Only because I'm a little more into Collins.
Got it.
Got it. Earth is my planet. Damn it. All right. Let's see. All right, now I'm going to check some questions now. Let's check it. Check it. What do you think about Eric Gordon against Philly?
When you just mentioned that minute increase, I was like, man, I didn't even look at that guy today. He is 3,700, but I mean, this guy just very rarely does that dirty, and he's gonna have like an elite defender on him, most likely, like Josh Richardson. Um, he won't make my 10 teams, but if I was playing more, I'd get a little bit of him because the price tag is really low, and he does take a ton of shots.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm going to adjust his minutes now that we know his cap has been raised. I'm not going to project him for the full 30 because it doesn't necessarily mean he's gonna. I think it just means that that's the most he will.
Good. Yeah.
The most. Utmost. Utmost. Westy is the bestie, 35.5.
You get the elf new? Oh, that game's not till 9. That's
Yeah,
why.
it sucks.
Damn.
Sucking it hard. Harden, Longington, Harden, and Harden, Longington. Alright, let's import these projections, hopefully for the last time. And start to see what we coming with. This is a weird slate, man. I don't know how I feel about it.
It is very
I mean,
weird.
we're doing the dirty regardless. That's just weird. That's all. All slates get the dirty done. Just what's happening. How much Harden you got, bro?
Probably like 20%.
20. 20%. Yeah, boy. Doing dirties on the reg. $13 to lock. I'm behind again, man. This always happens to me. What the hell?
Yeah, we went a little long on a 5-game slate.
There was a lot to discuss. There's a lot of things going on. Rocksteady asking CK who's a lock for cash. Real quick, Rocksteady, just so you know, we did convert the slate breakdown article into a specific cash game article. Matt Tribisi today gave 4 players for FanDuel and DraftKings each that he likes in cash. With that said, Paulie, who would you say is a cash game core player for you?
That was a professional kick over to me.
That, right?
I think Jordan McRae, Gordon Hayward, probably Bam, Clint Capella, Ish Smith. You have any problem playing McRae and Ish Smith in the same cash game lineup?
No, I wouldn't. I mean,
Wouldn't have a problem.
No, I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I would do what I had to do for the nation. What I would do. This guy right here.
So, basically, what you're saying is you weren't listening to what I said?
You interpret whichever way you like. It's all about them sideways answers, you know. We got 11 minutes to lock, and I'm still, like, in my head, not even sure. This is one of those slates where you end up without a player, and you're like, how the fuck did I end up without any of him? You know what I mean? Because you're so locked in on some of the other things, you're just going to end up, wait a minute, I could have sworn that I liked this guy. What happened? The plays for me today. The plays for me today. And the next thing you know, you're out on your ass. And that's just thug life. How much Gordon Hayward you playing, bro?
Like 40%, I think.
Hayward.
Hard not to see him do well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So, like, you said shooting guard's your favorite position. Like,
yeah, and it sucks.
Anybody you want. Who's your favorite player at the position? I don't care what the price is.
Harden. Like if money's not an object, it's Harden because like it's a guaranteed 50 something, and with potential for the set for the 80. You know.
Anybody but Harden.
Money's not an object. I could just pick one of these guys. Probably Booker. Like if money wasn't a thing. Now with that said, be mindful. Like I like McRae and these guys more than Booker because money is a thing. So I have a lot more of those guys. But if money wasn't an object, I'd have a lot more Booker than I do right now. Mm-hmm. He's dirtied up the Knicks plenty of times, and there's plenty left to do. Dirty style. All of them. They're all filthy. Filthy animals. Filthy. Sucking on 7, you filthy animals. Is some plane action? Is that what that is? Is this some airplane action?
Yeah. Aeroplanes.
High life you be living, man. Living high life.
Suck a shot and run like the camera like this. What?
Doing dirties on the regular. Decisions. Gotta make some decisions. Collins, looking for my ballins. All right, analyzation. That's real quick. See what happens. 8 minutes to lock, nation. What do you? Oh wait, saw that already. Any Cantor love? Yes, I believe so. Troy Brown thoughts?
Yeah, I like him. I like everyone on Washington.
Yeah, I like Troy Brown as well. Ross or Kem Birch?
Ross, by far.
Ross. Riggy Ross. Go get him. Warford, Aiden. Well, that gave me more Collins, which is what I wanted. Yeah, I noticed you raise a player, then you gotta go back and check, like, alright, so who did it take away when you raised that player?
Yeah.
7 minutes to lock. That's how we do that. That is how we do that. Let's go. Giggity. Let's go. Giggity. How much Harden you got? I think I asked you and I forgot to get your answer.
20.
20 on him. 20 on him. You want to go 1-on-1 with a hard on? It didn't sound at all the way I thought it was going to sound when I was thinking about that. Came out all kinds of twisted. So who's your top 4 highest exposures? Exposed players. Plays.
Isaiah Thomas, John Collins, Gordon Hayward, and Brandon Ingram.
Brandon Ingram. Yeah, Ingram's definitely on my list too. I got McCray, Ingram, Marquisius Smarticus. Got all kinds of these guys. All kinds. Oh, okay. Elfrid Payton on his way to Phoenix to rejoin the Knicks remains questionable.
That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
I don't know what to make of that, but
I know. How does he do it? I don't know. What to make of it? I really don't know. But I know that sevens will be sucked one way or another. No escaping that. Manhattan Nation. Shit runs wild. Well, I guess if he's in, we'll just have to come back at late Swizz op. You know what I mean? Because then, like,
yeah, for
if
sure.
he's in, we're gonna want some Randall. He's also obviously gonna be low owned because everybody's afraid to play him because they don't think he's plays. How much Jimmy Butler do you have?
20.
Bro, he screws me so many times. Like, I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, either way, like either you don't have enough or too much, and he doesn't do it.
If there was like a player who, like, I would say owned me in terms of like just messed me up constantly, it's him. I'm underweight, he goes ham. I'm overweight, he does nothing. It's never know what to do. It's a cold world, real cold world. That's all I got. Bonding. Oh damn, we got 4 minutes in this bit. I'm still lollygagging here. Lollygag. You're gonna stop. You're gonna start from the beginning, you sucker of thy dirty. Capella love. Yes, I know Paulie loves Capella. Embiid and Mahimi or Capella and Randall?
Capella and Randall.
Garrison Matthews love?
No.
Favorite game stack?
Atlanta, Boston.
Do you guys like Randall and Cash?
If Elf plays.
Top 5 value plays.
But probably not.
Top 5 value plays.
Top 5 value plays. That's a good question. Top 5 value plays. Ish Smith. Help me out, dog. Ish Smith. Isaiah Thomas.
Hard.
Isaiah Hartenstein.
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart, yeah.
DraftKings, you got like JJ Redick. There's a bunch, but to rank the top 5, like Ish Smith, Kendrick Nunn would be my top 2 as far as like cheap combination of cheap and viability, playability. Then I'd probably after that it's pretty. I guess JJ Redick for the sake of his price on DraftKings, and on FanDuel he's 4K, so it goes both ways. Marcus Smart for practicality, you expect him to get a lot of minutes against a turnover-prone team. Interesting. We got 2 minutes to lock. See if we can see how many Wizards and Blazers is too much in one lineup.
I'd say like 5, 6 is probably too much, but
long and hard.
Anything up to that's fine.
Long and hard. The new salute, baby. That's what I'm talking about. 2 minutes to Lockington. Suck on that. Hey, word. Well, that's just weird. 1 minute to the lock. DeJounte Murray ruled out for tomorrow for anyone interested. Go get it, go get it. Here we go. Bringing it in, bringing it in. We are almost at that time, nation. Close. We're so close. So close. I don't think I'm making these changes. Leaving it the same, man. Stuff. 7 o'clock. Here we are. It is lock. That is going to do it for us today, Nation. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. We will catch you guys in the YouTube world. Well, actually, tomorrow. I think you and I are doing the show, so we'll do it. We'll be on YouTube again tomorrow, Paulie and myself. If you're subscribed to WiseTake.com, we have the NFL content. We will have plenty of it for you tomorrow. We'll have some NBA content tomorrow as well. So full day for the Nation, doing what we do. Paulie, always a pleasure doing these breakdowns with you. Nation, appreciate those of you out there who hang with us every show, like every video. If you can keep it up, greatly appreciated. And those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe and make sure you hit up them likes. Like Con. Shout out to the WiseTake Nation. Those of you subscribed to WiseTake.com, it's the WiseTake Nation family. Shout out to y'all. And the Nation's been hot. We've seen a lot of really, really positive screenshots, and some people said some really cool things, especially on New Year's. So, Paul, anything in closing before we get up out of here?
Nope. Do the dirty. Keep your eye on the slate. The Elf Payton thing is still kind of looming, and I think there's like one other late injury one that we're waiting on. Who might that be? That is Ricky Rubio. You know, if he gets ruled out, that's just going to boost my interest in Booker and Oubre, and that could become my favorite game stack.
Rubio.
You know, you always got to stay optimizing that if you're playing on DraftKings. If you're on FanDuel, go enjoy your Friday night.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
What?
I must have not saved. Nope. Okay, yeah, I'm an idiot.
What'd you do?
I didn't save the CSV.
So you didn't get nothing uploaded?
No, I had a dummy team. That's what I'm rocking with today, I guess.
The same team?
Yeah, I got to train. I mean, I'm gonna at least fuck what I can, but I have certain players in here that I can't do anything about. Like I took some Magic guys in here.
Who are they? Who are you 100% on?
Oh boy, it's not good. I can tell you that. Augustine, Fultz, Titan, Ross. I'm all in on right now. Gloriousness.
Augustine, Fultz, and Ross?
Yes, sir. Dummy squad. This guy, phenomenal. It's going to be a fun day. Look forward to the slate tomorrow. That's going to do it for us, Nation. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.